Los Angeles. It's Alone with Rome.
Welcome back. My guest is the reigning Pride welterweight champion. He takes on Anderson Silva on Saturday. Dan Henderson is my guest. Dan, good to have you in studio. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me in.
All right, huge fight. Styles make fights. Do you think this is a good fight for you style-wise?
I think it's a really good fight for me style-wise. Just the way we match up. You know, I'm really good in the clinch and live there with my Greco-Roman background and good with my takedowns, and I can hit pretty hard. So he's good on his feet as well, though.
Those are good tools to have. Listen, do you have a preference where the fight ends up?
With him on his back, and out cold. That's where I would like it to end.
You're equally comfortable standing up and banging with the guy, or if he goes to the mat, you're fine?
Yeah, I'm not afraid of his hands, and you know, he's definitely more technical than I am. I'm not arguing that fact, but I feel that I've got a little bit more power, and you know, as long as I implement my game plan and take the positions where I want it to be, then it's going to be my fight.
UFC President Dana White made the point recently that he thinks that Silva is the best fighter in the world. What's your response to that?
Until Saturday. We'll find out. That's what this fight's about. You know, it's the fans have been wanting to see who the real champion is at each weight class, and this is the prime opportunity for that.
All right, so you talked about technically he's a very good fighter. What's your biggest concern about him coming in? What are some of the strengths that you have to concern yourself with that he has?
He's dangerous on his feet. He's longer. He's got a little bit more reach than I do, and he likes to throw those elbows and knees in the clinch. So I just need to be careful in certain situations and make sure that I'm controlling the fight the way I want it to be.
Having spent the last decade in Pride, what was it like when you came back and fought in a cage for the first time? How big of an adjustment was that for you to make?
It was a good adjustment. That, you know, it was, even in the fight, I just made some mistakes that I tripped on the cage a little bit a couple times, where I never really had to think about that. Against the ropes, you kind of slide along, and you know, kind of caught myself a couple times, and I'm aware of these things a little bit more for this fight, being my second fight back in the cage in 10 years. So
I was going to say, are you good now, or do you feel like you need another fight or two in the cage to get really comfortable with it?
No, I'm good. I'm good now. And obviously, the more fights I get, the better I will be there. But I got to make do with what I got, and I'm good to go.
Yeah, talk about making do with what you have. You're at 185 right now. Do you like that weight? Are you comfortable there, or is that where the best fight was?
I'm comfortable at any weight class. It doesn't matter. I've never, even fighting up at 205, I never feel like I'm outweighed or out muscled or in any way. I've always said I'm big on the inside, and that's what matters. You know, I go out there, and I think technique over the more technique you have, it makes up for the lack of strength. If I can be the strongest guy in the world, if I don't know where to put it, it don't matter.
So go back to September when you fought Rampage Jackson. He won the unanimous decision. What did you think about that decision?
You know, I felt that it could have went either way, but at the time, and even after watching it on tape, I thought I had done enough to win, but I'm not the one judging it, and I respect the judge's decision. That's why they're there. So,
you take me back to when you first got in. I mean, you said recently, I'm not surprised by how big this sport is. It was just a matter of them putting it together and having a better strategy. In short, this doesn't surprise you at all that MMA is completely blown up the way it has.
I think this is a matter of the product selling itself. It's just a matter of getting the eyes on the product, and slowly but surely they've been getting a lot of eyes on the product, and once someone watches it, they're hooked. So the product really has sold itself.
What's it been like since UFC bought Pride and working with UFC specifically?
They've been great. I've got no complaints whatsoever. They've been good to me and very professional and organized. So it's been, I'm looking forward to the future with them as well.
Are they good with fighters? Do they take care of their fighters?
Yeah, as far as I know, they take care of me. So as far as I know, some of my other fighters as well, they do a good job taking care of the fighters as well.
Now, you can hit, you can bang, but one of the things you're known for is that iron jaw. Looking back over your career, who are some of the guys that hit the hardest that you've gone up against?
Anderson Silva probably hits the hardest, and Quinn Jackson doesn't hit softly either. So, but I pretty much try not to get hit in fights, and I don't test that iron jaw theory. I think it's just a matter of not getting hit in the right spot.
Hey, go back to what you said in the beginning about your clinch. Compare your clinch to Silva's clinch.
It's two different clinches. One, mine being my wrestling, Greco-Roman wrestling background. It's in tight, chest to chest more, and more of a wrestling style. Being able to beat him up, dirty boxing, and his is more of a Muay Thai kickboxing clinch, where he's got both hands on your neck, trying to knee you and elbow you and move you around that way. And I don't see that being a problem with me.
You know, you go back to your wrestling background. That was the plan, really. I mean, you only got into this to help pay some bills while you continued to prepare for wrestling and train for wrestling, right? This was never the big plan.
No, I never had any goals in this sport my first 3 years in this sport. I was only doing maybe one event a year to help pay for my wrestling to try and make the 2000 Olympic team. I had already made 2 Olympic teams and didn't get a medal, and wanted to make a third, but couldn't support myself with just my wrestling income. So,
well, what's going to happen when you have to get a real job, my man?
Oh, then I'll be retired. Yeah, I've never had
good work if you can get it.
Never had a real job in my life, and hopefully it stays that way.
All right, Dan, good to have you on the show. I appreciate your time. Good luck with it.
Thanks a lot.
Dan Henderson. Next up on the forum, more on